Day of the work week, Hogue in the Morning here on 1380 KTKZ. And I want to focus for a moment here on the gubernatorial race again, and also a quick conversation on the prospective unemployment benefits being extended. More than happy to have on the MaloofLaw.com Capitol line from Washington, D.C. Republican whip inside of the House, Rick Cantor, joins me live. And Congressman, it's good to have you.
Eric, it's good to be with you.
First off, you have, and the reason I wanted to sneak you on, you've endorsed from afar in a roundabout way Meg Whitman and her gubernatorial race here in California. Do you care to address the explanation of your endorsement, sir?
Yes, well, I've gotten to know Meg over the last several years and have seen that she is an incredible leader and really a woman of such accomplishment that has actually created thousands of jobs and is really the kind of leader that we need today, and I know can do the job for Californians to try and arrest the economic downturn that has gripped your state.
Why were you compelled to dive into this endorsement of Meg Whitman in the gubernatorial race here in California? What compelled you as a congressman, as a Republican whip, to jump in here?
Well, as a member of the Republican leadership in the Congress, we're looking to an election this fall, which will be a pivotal point for our country. Obviously, the agenda being promoted by the Democrats in Washington, by President Obama, Speaker Pelosi, and Leader Reid, is an agenda that has been devastating for those seeking jobs. In fact, we continue to see a job-killing bill each week, one after the other, money being spent that we don't have, debt being laid onto our children and theirs. This is not a good forecast. They are not providing a direction for the future. And when you look to the kind of leaders that America is looking for, and certainly voters in California, Meg represents the kind of person who has demonstrated an ability to balance budgets and to get people back to work. And so as a member of the leadership in the Republican Party in Congress, I am very focused on demonstrating that our party is a new party. We are not that party which in Congress was fired in '06. We are not that party which has demonstrated an inability to focus on the fiscal issues of our time. We have turned the corner, and that is because people like Meg have agreed to go and help us lead. And I know she represents the new California, and I would say that her opponent, Jerry Brown, is certainly the old. He represents the status quo in Sacramento. And frankly, we just can't afford that in America, nor can your state and the voters there afford any more of the same.
No, you're spot on. And the question is the job understanding. Here in California, we're fighting with that ideology right now. Let me ask you of the current administration in Washington, the Obama administration, do they at least have some understanding, sir, that the country needs private sector jobs and not government jobs? Do they embrace that at all?
It does not seem as so, Eric, that this administration or this president can understand that what we need in this country is to restrain the growth in government, to encourage people, entrepreneurs, small business startups, so that we can assume a posture of calculated risk so that we can promote innovation. I mean, if there's any state in the country that has proved to be an innovator and a leader, the biggest state in the country, the biggest economy of any state is yours. And the fact is, the unemployment that has gripped California is unacceptable. And I know, having been there several times this year, people are frustrated because they don't see the opportunity and the jobs ahead for their families. And that is, I think, in stark contrast to the kind of vision that Meg will present to the voters. Now, just as we in Congress are trying to say, look, the election this November is a choice for the voters in your state and across the country, because America's at a crossroads. We're going to decide the future by this election because we can go one of two ways. Either we go the direction that the Obama administration wants to take us, which could very well end up in a state like Greece, where you've got public unions controlling more and more of the allocation of capital, where you've got higher taxes, more regulation, which stifles the ability for the private sector to grow. Or you can return back to the kind of America that I think most of us know, which is more freedom, more ability to earn your own success, and to stop relying on the government to continue to crank out spending money we don't have to determine the outcome.
And plus just the future as well. I mean, there's a new study out today here in Sacramento talking about the real facts, California's private sector job loss versus the state employee job costs. And we have known from a couple of months back that government jobs make $12 an hour more versus the private sector jobs in California. Now we're getting this. It takes 25 private sector jobs to support one government job in California. There's no way we can continue this pace in California, and whatever happens here becomes the country's burden as well.
Well, you can see it happen. I mean, in our state of Virginia, where I'm from, just as in the state of New Jersey, the last gubernatorial elections were resoundingly in favor of the common sense leadership that the Republican candidates in our state, Bob McDonnell, and New Jersey, Chris Christie, are providing. If you look at the experience in New Jersey, it's similar to that of California. They have a huge budget deficit, and frankly, what Governor Christie did was to insist on having a conversation about the promises that their state and Trenton and their state capital had and made to public employee unions and benefits to be provided to government employees. You just can't have government continue to grow without having the ability to pay for it.
No,
I think where Meg comes from is she says, look, we got to get the fiscal situation straight in Sacramento. You got to make sure that jobs stop fleeing from California. And you have to look to the future and invest in our education of our young people so that we can be committed to the innovation and the tradition of innovation that California's been about.
Mr. Cantor, appreciate your time and the support here in California. And you probably have heard the story out of Bell. If not, would love to slip it your way, where a city manager was been paid $800,000 a year. Now he resigns, and because of the union benefit, he's going to make $600,000 the rest of his life.
Again, what does that say to the Californians that are paying for that?
Lunacy? I have no idea. We're fit to be tied out here. Eric, once again, thank you for your time. It is great to have you, Mr. Cantor.
Thank you, Eric.
All right. Republican whip, Congressman Cantor on the MaloofLaw.com Capitol line.